Do I think, and now again, I actually heard this on a couple of radio posts out there, do I honestly believe that the SEC is just going to sit back and be like, oh, we're just going to let the Big Ten do whatever the heck they want and we're going to be just fine over here? No. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master Football, back at it again. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football and see a lot of college football videos, subscribe to this channel right now. I also do some pro football and some Madden videos as well. Remember, hit that red subscribe button. Okay, I'm at $5.99 right now. Maybe by the time this video comes out, it'll be at $600. Okay, quest for 1K. It's free to you, really helps out the channel a lot. I got a lot of big things coming here. But remember, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all of that. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, guys, so here, I was thinking about something. I was on a stream yesterday with Golden Blue Dude. He does a great channel. Go check out Golden Blue Dude. I'm telling you right now, get on his stream and check it out. He does a really great job. That being said, there was a couple comments there, especially from some of the Pitt fans. Now, I don't know if this is because the Backyard Brawl is coming up and basically West Virginia says red, Pitt says blue, or whatever the situation is. West Virginia says up, you know, Pitt says down. I don't know about that, but I do know that there seems to be this sentiment, and this is probably its own video in itself, but there's a sentiment that if the Big Ten gets to 20 teams and they're looking to be at 20 teams, what is the goal for the other conferences? Are they just going to continue to play, you know, chess while the Big Ten is playing checkers? So I mean, and again, I don't know if we're in a situation where it's going to be 4 20-team leagues or 3 20-team leagues or 3 24-team leagues or something like that. But I do know that whatever the bigger conferences do, the smaller conferences inevitably try to copy. Case in point, a conference championship game. So here we are on Wikipedia page for the SEC championship game. And again, it comes down here and it says right here, the history. The SEC was the first NCAA conference in any division to hold a football championship game that was exempt from NCAA limits on regular season contests. Such a game was made possible by 2 separate developments. First came in 1987 when the NCAA membership approved a proposal sponsored by Division II Penn State Athletic Conference and the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association that allowed any conference with at least 12 football members to split into 2 divisions and stage a conference championship game between the divisional winners. They took on Arkansas, they added South Carolina, and again, they eventually added Texas A&M and Missouri, but they split into 2 6-team divisions and formed the first ever conference championship game. Now, the thing about that that's crazy is that back in the day, they're like, are you kidding me? Another game? This is going to ruin college football. This is going to ruin your opportunities at a national championship. You're going to get another loss. But eventually it became the norm. You have that extra game against that good team. If you get through the SEC gauntlet and you get to the point where you win the SEC championship game, you are de facto the #1 team in the country as of the last couple of years. Obviously, there's certain years that USC has been up there. There's certain years that Ohio State has been up there. But if you see the way that it's worked out, this was a thing that nobody ever did. The SEC did it. Everybody else copied it. I think that same logic applies to the conferences getting to 20 teams and 24 teams. I do think there's a point of diminishing returns. It seems like I haven't heard anybody say 28, 30, 32, things like that, but it seems like 20 seems to be the number. So if we're thinking about 20, let's think about the current conferences right now. So 20 members. So, man, 20 members for a conference. So if you think about that right now, so we see the Big Ten. The Big Ten has 16 counting USC, UCLA. They add the Bay Area schools, Stanford and Cal, and then they add the Northwest schools in Washington and Oregon. That puts them 4 plus 16 puts them at 20. Then we're in a situation where the SEC is at 16 for right now. Do I think, and now again, I actually heard this on a couple of radio posts out there, do I honestly believe that the SEC is just going to sit back and be like, oh, we're just going to let the Big Ten do whatever the heck they want and we're going to be just fine over here? No, I think there's a certain level of pride in the SEC and the fact that they will try to get to 20 teams as well. When looking at that, it puts you in a precarious situation. Personally, again, I think everybody here who knows my content knows I've had 2 videos the last couple of days. One was about Kevin Warren killing the Big Ten or the Pac-12, and then was Brett Yormark maybe not killing the Pac-12, but definitely helping it die. So I think, like everybody said, if the Pac-12 loses Oregon and Washington, more than likely also going to lose Stanford and Cal. The Four Corner schools will most likely, and have been rumored strongly, again, how well-founded those rumors are, we don't know, have been strongly rumored to go to the Big 12, and then Oregon State and Washington State have been rumored like they would just be kind of leftovers. I think they would just be absorbed into the Mountain West. That's tentative. That is not confirmed at all, but that seems to be the strong indication of what's going on right here. So that puts the ACC in its grant of rights locked into a weird sense of security here. But if those grant of rights were up, what do you think would happen? Do you honestly believe, now remember, do you honestly believe that of the schools that are in the SEC and the schools in the ACC, there's not a couple teams that they would add? I actually think that, like we said before, it sounds like, from what you can read out there, it sounds like Virginia and North Carolina are obvious. Neither are in Big Ten or SEC country. Both would be new markets. Virginia and North Carolina, both AAU universities. So it wouldn't hurt the academics, would definitely add new markets, and would integrate pretty nicely with the South. So that puts them at 18. And then from there, we have a couple of other situations. I want to look at what the ACC could do in terms of expansion if it wanted to keep itself together. Remember, the ACC is at 14 teams. If they got to the point to where they lost 4 members, the SEC gets to 20, they lose 4 members, they'd be at 10. What could they realistically do? Let's check some of those options out. So here we are with, and again, this is just a brief breakdown that I have. I broke down it by a couple different things. Their viewership rank, the average viewers per game in the thousands. This is 2021 numbers. Some of these will be skewed. As an example, Cincinnati's is going to be higher. They were in the college football playoff. But you'll see here, are they AAU designation and are they tier 1 or tier 2 institutions? In terms of research, we see here, this is the current ACC. We see the fact that, like Clemson averages 1.74 thousand per game. This is in a down year for them. And then you see here the AAU status. So AAU status would be North Carolina, that'd be Virginia. We got Pitt right there. We got Georgia Tech, and then all the way down here we have Duke. Everybody except for Wake Forest is a tier 1 research institution, whereas Wake is a tier 2. So what I want to do here is I want to add in not only the Big 12, I'm basically going to add in everybody but the Big 10, the SEC, the Mountain West, and the Pac-12. I don't think the Mountain West and the Pac-12, especially if they get pillaged, will have options to go to the ACC, which is why I want to add the remaining conferences minus the Big 10 and the SEC. Let's do that right now. So when we do this, this gets a little different. Now again, I've colored these teams a little bit different here. So as you can see here, the American is going to be a different color. If you come down here, the American is yellow, but I have colored Cincinnati the same color as the Big 12 since they are going to the Big 12. We see here that the Big 12, Oklahoma and Texas are colored red. That is the same color as the SEC. So these two teams are out. I don't think Notre Dame is in play for the ACC. I think they like their independence, especially if they lose their top 4. So remember what I said before. Let's go through those. Clemson, Florida State, I also believe North Carolina, and Virginia. Note here that Miami has not been rumored a lot here. There have been some against that, but I'm going to color all 4 of those teams as the SEC's color, and then we're going to go ahead and kind of take them out. So here we go. We check how this changes. This changes the math a lot. We see here that these blue Big 12, it looks like they have a definitive advantage over this green. Now you see, and again, like I said, these numbers, you can pull these numbers. Oh, that's not right. This doesn't compare to this or that. Just use these as a tentative breakdown. So with this tentative breakdown here, you see the fact that the Big 12 has a distinct advantage in terms of viewership from 2021. Now again, that's not forever, but 2021, they had a distinct advantage in terms of viewership. Let's do a couple different things here though. However, remember here that there's a couple schools that are out east that actually might better integrate with the ACC, especially from a travel perspective. West Virginia actually was a really, really good revenue school in the Big 12, but they had to travel so much. There's so much money they lose on those week-to-week, conference games for volleyball and softball and things like that, that if they actually were to join the ACC, have a lot more closer conference trips, it actually might change the math a little bit here. Let's see what happens if we add West Virginia, also Cincinnati, to those groups. Whoa. All of a sudden this math changes a little bit. Now remember, I know that this number right here is not realistic for Cincinnati on a year in and year out basis. They did lose a lot of players. I think that they are going to definitely come back down to earth. Do I think they're going to go 6-6? No. But I think that, if you look at this, this is not a repeatable number per se every single year. But you see the fact they're not an AAU member, but they are a Tier 1 research institution. Same thing with West Virginia, not AAU, but a Tier 1 research institution. That right there bodes pretty strongly for them. Would West Virginia and Cincinnati consider going over? I know we also had a couple different schools down here. You come down here to the ACC, we see the Tobacco Road teams. We have Wake Forest, we have North Carolina State, we have Georgia Tech, we have Virginia Tech, and then we have UCF. Do they have the ability to pull UCF over as well? USF is down here. That's a good pair for them too. Give them a stronger presence in Florida as opposed to just Miami. They have South Florida, but then they can get kind of that mid and North Florida areas there. I'm just wondering, basically, this is all just a big discussion here to ask the big question. What do I think would happen to the 10 remaining ACC members if they weren't absorbed into the SEC and they weren't absorbed into the Big Ten? Remember, that's the big question here, because a lot of people, I think that there was one Pitt fan in that stream that I was on last night who was kind of like, oh, they're just going to go to the SEC, or oh, they're going to go to the Big Ten. I'm not so sure about that. I think that there's a couple different options out there. I do think if the SEC or the Big Ten gets to 24, this is a wash and the ACC will be pillaged too. But if we get to that point where we have those four conferences, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and SEC, and the ACC survives, what options do they have? Do they actually think they can pull from the Big 12 over some of those East Coast side teams over there to the ACC? I don't know. You get in the comments right now and let me know what you think. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for a preview of a game, a big game that I'm going to watch. But for now, I am out.